It is now 7:05, and I will call the meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
Vice President Anderson,
Here.
Counselor Blakely, Counselor Forbeck,
Here.
Counselor Jacobson,
Here.
Counselor Levy,
Here.
Counselor Preschel,
Here.
President Duncan,
Here.
and one more time, Counselor Blakely. I believe we have 6 counselors present with Counselor Blakely not on the call yet. We do have a quorum.
Now, can everyone please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As posted, we are conducting the City Council meeting by teleconference. Thank you for listening. I ask to move the City Manager's report up on the agenda to inform the public about the city's response to COVID-19. City Manager Luther.
Thank you. The City of Beloit has been very aggressive in our response to COVID-19. We were one of the first communities to call for stringent social distancing and canceled group events even before the state mandated such actions. We were one of the first to activate our Emergency Operations Center, begin drive-through absentee voting, and alter our staffing levels. That said, we desperately need our entire community to limit your exposure by limiting your contact with other people. We do not have enough medical resources to treat everyone who could become fatally ill at the same time. Please stay home. If you are required to work, stay 6 feet or 2 arms lengths away from the nearest person. Wash your hands regularly. The Supreme Court has overturned the governor's order, and the election will take place tomorrow. To protect both the public and our staff, the election will be held in a drive-through style. Stay in your car, and we will come to you to look at your photo ID and provide your ballot. We encourage you to bring your own black ballpoint pen. Even though there will be no direct contact, our election workers will be sanitizing their hands between each voter, and some may choose to wear a mask and safety glasses for their personal protection. We have the ability to slow the spread of this disease, but we must do it together. It will take all of us. Never before have our individual decisions had the potential to determine whether someone else may live or die. The harsh reality is that the individual choices made now, whether we want them to or not, impact our entire community. Please understand the seriousness and severity of the current situation. Join us in our efforts to slow the spread. The council, staff, and I believe our city can unite to protect Beloit. Thank you. Y ahora en español. La ciudad de Beloit ha sido muy agresiva en nuestra respuesta a COVID-19. Fuimos una de las primeras comunidades en pedir un estricto distanciamiento social y hacer cancelaciones de eventos, incluso antes de que el Estado ordenara tales acciones. Fuimos uno de los primeros en activar nuestro centro de operaciones de emergencia, implementación de votación en ausencia y modificación a nivel de personal. Dicho eso, necesitamos desesperadamente que toda nuestra comunidad limite su contacto con otras personas. No tenemos suficientes recursos médicos para tratar a todos los que podrían enfermarse fatalmente al mismo tiempo. Por favor, manténgase en casa. Si es requerido que trabaje, manténgase 6 pies o 2 brazos de distancia de la persona más cercana. Lávate las manos regularmente. Hay una elección mañana. Para proteger tanto al público como a nuestro personal, las elecciones de mañana se llevarán a cabo en el estacionamiento sin bajarse de su vehículo, al estilo drive-thru. Quédese en su carro y vendremos hacia usted para verificar su identificación y proporcionarle su boleta de votar. Lo alentamos a traer su propia pluma negra. Nuestros trabajadores electorales estarán desinfectando sus manos después de atender a cada votante. Algunos pueden optar por usar una máscara y gafas de seguridad para su protección personal. Tenemos la capacidad de bajar la propagación de esta enfermedad, pero debemos hacerlos juntos. Tomará a todos nosotros. Nunca antes nuestras decisiones individuales tuvieron el potencial de determinar si alguien más podría vivir o morir. La dura realidad es que las decisiones que cada persona toma en este momento, lo queramos o no, impactan a toda nuestra comunidad. Por favor, comprenda la seriedad y gravedad de la situación actual. Únase a nosotros en nuestro esfuerzo para frenar la propagación. El Consejo y yo creemos que nuestra ciudad puede unirse para proteger a Beloit. Y muchas gracias al Distrito Escolar de Beloit por su liderazgo y asistencia con la traducción de esta declaración. Gracias.
Thank you, City Manager Luther. I just want to say a special thank you for giving that information regarding our response to COVID-19, not only in English, but in Spanish. In this way, we are certainly reaching our Spanish-speaking people in our community, so thank you for that. Next item, please.
Under item 3, special orders of the day and announcements. 3A is a proclamation recognizing April 16th, 2020 as Healthcare Decision Day. The proclamation is available on the city's website, and we will not be reading it in full tonight. Item 3B is a proclamation recognizing April as National Fair Housing Month. That proclamation is also on the city's website, and we will not be reading it in full tonight. Under item 4 for public hearings, item 4A is consideration of resolution 2020-051, approving a conditional use permit to allow ground floor office space in the CBD 1 Central Business District core for the property located at 444 East Grand Avenue.
At this time, our Community Development Director, Julie Christensen, will provide a brief overview at this time.
This location is, the building that's located on this property is the Turtle Creek Bookstore. They recently announced a planned closure in May of 2020. So in order to actively market the site, they broke up the existing floor plan into 3 separate suites. The first suite is right on the corner. It's Suite 102. The plan is to renovate it into conference rooms, offices, and bathrooms for a news office. It's elevated a few feet above the street level. You have to walk up a few steps to go inside. That's where you currently enter the bookstore now, off East Grand Avenue. A new western suite will be left intact, which will have an access off East Grand, while vacant according to the construction schedule, and will be accessed through those existing entry doors on East Grand. A proposed rear suite, 103, includes access to the existing loading dock. According to the applicant, there are no tenant commitments for suites 101 or 103 at this time. Public notice was sent to owners of surrounding properties, and we did not hear any comments from anyone. I did just today reach out to Shauna Elamine, the executive director of the Downtown Beloit Association, because I wanted to be sure what her take on this use was, and she did indicate that she has support for this space, using this space as office. Staff did reach out to the owner today, and he indicated that he really just is trying to get increased flexibility for marketing the space, that his purpose for dividing it up was to try to market those retail spaces as retail spaces, but he would like the flexibility to do retail or office. So Plan Commission reviewed this at their last meeting and did recommend approval, subject to the conditions which are listed in the resolution before you tonight. This conditional use permit authorizes the use of the ground floor in the historic building located at 444 East Grand Avenue as office space in order to promote an attractive Main Street environment in accordance with the Downtown Beloit Association design guidelines. The ground floor windows shall remain clear and may not be tinted, glazed with reflective material, or covered with materials to block visibility. And then our standard conditions about major changes coming back through the public process. And then be it further resolved that they're formally advised of the additional ordinance requirements, which is that all proposed exterior changes to this historic building require a Landmarks Commission approval and an architectural review certificate, which shall require consultation with the DBA Design Review Committee prior to approval. All alterations shall comply with the ground floor transparency requirements for property zoned Central Business District 1. The missing trim along the front facade shall be repaired and or replaced if necessary prior to occupancy. 2, all new office spaces shall comply with the International Building Code and the Americans with Disabilities Act. And finally, in accordance with Section 2-506 of the zoning ordinance, the applicant shall have 12 months from the date of the conditional use permit issuance to complete construction and commence use of the offices, or the conditional use permit shall lapse and be of no further effect. And Plan Commission did recommend approval unanimously.
Thank you. When the city council agenda was posted, an email address was included to provide an opportunity for community input by noon today. At this time, the public hearing is open. No public input was received. The public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Anderson. Is there a second? It's been moved by Counselor Anderson. Is there a second?
This is Nancy Forbeck, and if no one else wants to, I will so move.
Thank you, Counselor Forbeck. We have a motion by Counselor Anderson, a second by Counselor Forbeck. Vice President
Okay,
Anderson.
great.
Thank you very much. Vice President Anderson, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No, not at this time.
Counselor Forbeck, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
Counselor Jacobson, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No questions.
Counselor Levy, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
Counselor Preschel, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Go ahead, please. Counselor Preschel.
Well, I am concerned that, as we all know, that this is a conveyable, transferable conditional use permit. So whether this owner or the next owner, it's continuous. It doesn't go away. And I'm not so concerned about Suite 102 and 103 of the plan, but I am concerned about losing retail space, especially at the Suite 101 location. And as you know, President Duncan, I sent you a proposed compromise to kind of split this use and do the conditional use with a great deal of what I thought was a legally justifiable criteria basis that was defensible. And I just want to put that on the record. If you'd like me to elaborate, I will.
Thank you, Counselor Preschel. I have something that I would like to add to that as well. I support retail on ground levels in our downtown and office use, on the ground floor only when appropriate. Unfortunately, the changes to state law related to conditional use limits our ability to use discretion in these decisions. In fact, the state law was changed so that towns, cities, and counties shall grant conditional use permits if the applicant meets all of the requirements. I must admit I was reluctant. However, the application states that the primary use will be office and the secondary use will be retail. We are hopeful that the retail use will be pursued. Given the restrictions placed on local government over conditional uses, I will support the application. At this time, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Vice President Anderson,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Jacobson,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Nay.
and President Duncan.
Aye.
And is Counselor Forbeck on the call? Or Blakely on the call?
Yes.
Counselor Blakely.
Oh.
Okay. So that motion passes 5 yes, 1 no. Next item is public comment.
When the agenda was posted, we asked the public to notify us by noon today if they wish to provide any public comments. There have been no public comments submitted, so we will move on to the consent agenda.
All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a councilor member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any counselor like anything removed from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please? Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
This is Councilor Preschel. I make that motion.
Okay, we have,
Council Levy, second.
we have a first by Counselor Preschel, second by Counselor Levy. Vice President Anderson, do you have any questions on the motion?
No.
Counselor Forbeck, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
Counselor Jacobson, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
Counselor Levy, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
Counselor Preschel, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
At this time, there is a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Vice President Anderson,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Jacobson,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That motion carries 6-0. Under licenses this evening, there are none. Under ordinances this evening, there are none. There are no appointments this evening. Item 10 is counselor activity and upcoming events.
In the interest of time, I'm asking counselors to please be brief. So we will begin. Vice President Anderson.
Thank you. I will keep it brief. Although I'm disappointed in the decision that happened a couple hours ago about the election, I just really wanted to thank our clerks for doing an amazing job with being not only innovative but proactive during the COVID-19 outbreak. Thank you.
Counselor Forbeck.
Yes, again, with our fabulous crack staff that we have, thank you for allowing my husband and I to drive through and turn in our absentee ballots.
Counselor Jacobson. Thank you, Counselor Forbeck.
No report.
Okay. Counselor Levy.
No report.
Counselor Preschel.
I would like to echo what the previous counselor said and just add, stay safe, stay home, stay well, support Beloit.
And my report, I would just like to ask everyone to please take this pandemic serious. We can help to stop the spread of this COVID-19, but we've got to work together. We've got to follow directives from our governor and our city manager. She spoke earlier. We will get through this, but we have to be safe, smart, and help each other. Next, we will go to item 11.
The city manager gave her report earlier on the agenda, so item 12 is reports from boards and city officers. 12A is consideration of Resolution 2020-49, authorizing award of Public Works Contract C-20-19. It's the library build-out for Blackhawk Technical College.
City Manager Luther will provide a brief overview.
Thank you. On March 2nd of this year, the City Council approved a lease agreement with Blackhawk Technical College. Since that time, both the Beloit Public Library, the City Council, and Blackhawk Technical College have all approved and executed the lease. Party to that lease agreement is the bid that was issued on behalf of that agreement. 5 bids were received for this project, and the low bid was a combined base bid of $339,800 plus alternate 1 bid of $104,400 and alternate 2 bid of $106,100 for a combined sum of $550,300. Gilbank Construction was considered the lowest responsible bid on this project. I would remind you that no city dollars are being utilized for this project. The portion in the base bid that is going to be used by Blackhawk Technical College is being funded 100% from Blackhawk Technical College. Alternates 1 and 2 are being funded by the Library Foundation and has been approved by both the Library Foundation Board and the Library Board proper. So no city dollars are being expended for this project. It will allow Blackhawk Technical College to have a permanent presence in Beloit and located at the library. Staff recommends approval of the bid as presented, and I'd be happy to respond to any other questions you may have.
Thank you, City Manager Luther. Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
This is Counselor Jacobson, motion to approve.
Okay, we have a
Council
motion.
Levy seconds.
We have a motion by Counselor Jacobson and a second by Counselor Levy. So we will begin with Vice President Anderson. Do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No.
Okay. Counselor Forbeck, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No, I just want to say thank you to the library director because I know that he and a group of his, I think, library board are also raising money for not the Blackhawk Technical part of that bid, but the other part that's going to just make our community even stronger. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Forbeck. Counselor Jacobson.
I just wanted to say that staff answered my questions earlier today and that the library board and the foundation board both approved this bid that relates to any build out for them.
Thank you, Counselor Jacobson. Counselor Levy, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
No questions.
Counselor Preschel, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion?
I'd just like to commend the director and the boards, both foundation and the library, for coming up with a way to finally complete the library. This will involve the completion of the whole entire first floor area. The parts that were never completed are going to be completed and finished, and that entire first floor space will now be used. It's good for everybody. Thanks.
Counselor Preschel. At this time, there is a motion and a second to approve the resolution. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Vice President Anderson,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Jacobson,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes 6-0. Under item 12B, the City Council will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85 Sub 1C to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of a public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, namely to discuss the annual performance appraisal for City Manager Luther. The City Council will not reconvene into open session.
May I please have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved. This is Mark.
Moved by Counselor Preschel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Anderson. At this time, there is a motion and a second to go into closed session. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Vice President Anderson,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Jacobson,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye. The council is now in closed session. We will not return to open session and will adjourn directly out of closed session. Thank you for listening, and please stay healthy.